I must say, I play a lot of games lately, but the type of game I play the most is card games. And I play a lot of card games. For instance, I'm trying to put together a top 20 card games right now, and it is super difficult. I probably have a short list of 40, almost 50 probably, if I really had to look at it again. And I'm trying to cram those into my top 20. So shoot, trying to figure out my top 10 is next to impossible. And while I'm still figuring out those details, I decided to make this video where I'm just gonna focus on the top 5 card games I'm playing right now. These are the card games I'm just most excited to bring out. If someone's coming over, I'm like, ooh, yes, I can get this card game to the table. I'm so excited. And a few quick housekeeping notes. I'm not including any trick-taking games on this list right now, and I'm also leaving out the nub. It's a card game I am playing a lot, but I want some other games to get their chance to shine. Hey, I'm Ryan. Welcome to the Board Game Journey. You be joining me to play 1,000 games. Today, we are looking at the top 5 card games that I am most excited to play right this second. So first up is a game that I was honestly a little bit surprised by. This is Loners. I went on this publisher, West Coast Games, to order another game on this list, so a little bit of a spoiler. And I saw that this game just came out. And looking at the promo video, it definitely has those Scout vibes, but you can tell it had a lot of other things going on. So I was super excited, just, hey, take a gamble sometime. I know nothing about it. It's a brand new game, but I just had a good feeling about it. The artwork also kind of won me over. And the promo, if you haven't seen it, it's freaking hilarious, so check it out. I love when people spend time making funny promos like that. So let's just crack this baby open and show you what it's all about. So we're all set up for a 3-player game of Loners. First, let's just cover some of the similarities to Scout. So in my hand, I'm dealt these cards. I'm not allowed to rearrange the cards at all, but I'm allowed to play, sets and runs. So I could play this like 4-5 or 7-8, and maybe I could play a 7 here with this card, which we'll get to in a second, to make a 6-7-8 run. That'd be pretty nice. So this is how Loners handles the different hand strengths. So number of cards will always beat lower cards. So if I play 2 cards, we'll always beat 1. If someone plays 4 cards, we'll beat a 3 cards. So number of cards, regardless if it's a set or a run, will always beat a lower amount of cards. Second, a set is always more powerful than a run. So if someone played a 1-2 or a 3-4, I could play 2 1s and I will still win because we both play 2 cards, but the set always beats the run. And the last thing, a higher run will beat a higher run with the same number of cards. So someone played a 1-2, a 3-4 will beat it. So there's 2 main ways that Loners sets itself apart from Scout. Let's get into them right now. The obvious one is these cards in the middle. These are like the Loner pile. These are all street thugs, able to join your game, but they're not too loyal. Let me show you what I mean. Because you're allowed to use these cards to make your hand stronger in a couple different ways. First, if I was just skip my turn, I can just straight up take any card here and add it to my hand wherever I want. So I could just put it right there, or I can put it right here to make this, 6, 7, 8. Of course, I skip my turn to do that, and it does clear off one of these cards, which is important. We'll cover that in a second. The other thing I can do is I can play, say, a 6-8 to a table. Now, this is not legal in its own right because it's not a run, but I can actually take the 7 and add it to my hand to make this a 6-7-8. So this would be a 3-card run and potentially beat someone else's previous play cards. Now the caveat to doing it this way versus playing it naturally out of your hand is they're not as strong. So if I was to play this naturally out of my hand, there's nothing anyone can do. It just becomes a normal card. But if I use one of these Loners, it becomes a little bit weaker and someone can add on to this. So it could be any player before it gets to me, because if it gets back to me, it just clears the pile. But if this player, say, has a 5, or I would say 8 is the highest card in this game. So if the 8 wasn't there, if they had a 5 or a 8, they could do it. But in this case, if they have a 5, which they do here, they can add it on to make it a 5, 6, 7. So they can basically turn my 3-card run into a 4-card run. Now, since they did that, no one else can do it. So it kind of locks up. That Loner becomes part of the gang, or whatever you want to say, and now they become loyal. So this player, that 5 could be a huge deal because right now they have a 5 between their 2, 3. So if they get rid of this, now they have a 2, 3, 4. So playing this 5 there is actually pretty smart because now they have a 3-card run that they can play on a later turn. So then this locks it up. So the next person would have to beat a 4-card run to be able to continue on. Because if they pass, they gotta pick a card up. If I pass, I pick a card up. If it gets back to this person, they would clear it, and now they can play whatever they want. Maybe they play that 3-card run. Who knows? So that part already is pretty cool. I like that you can pick these cards up and add them to your hand to make your hand stronger, or you can utilize them as part of your hand. Now, why would you do this? Why are you picking these cards up? Because there is a cool little twist. Because say I have a great hand and I go out and all these cards are still here. whoever goes out has to pick those cards up. So I would have to pick all these cards up and still have to somehow maybe go out again before everyone else goes out. Which if this many cards are still in the middle, I'm probably not going to win this round. And I think this loner pile is why it is such a good game of 2 players. Because I think if it was like Scout-like, where we're just going back and forth, you have the cards, you don't have the cards. Be able to like kind of have these extra cards I can add or, you know, manipulate my hand, I think it makes the 2-player experience just way more enjoyable. The second difference in this game are these police cards. So this part I'm not completely sold on. This is still my 5th most played game. So I'm still figuring out like these cards myself, to be honest. So with this card, you play the police and now the cards go lower. So it's sort of like you skip your turn. So if it's my turn, I can't beat this. Well, I can now play this police card. Because in the game, also just so we're clear, you can't end your turn on a police card, so you definitely gotta somehow play them in the middle of the game or before you run out of cards. So I play this, now it's their turn. They have to go lower than a 4-card run, which they can do. They can just play a 1 if they wanted to. Or maybe they can get rid of like a bunch of cards, because that's a pretty big run. So maybe they get rid of the, you know, this 2, 3, 4 right here. And now that's lower, and now this person can go lower, and then I can go lower. And eventually, someone can go as low as they want, and then the pile clears, and we start back to going high again. So that covers the main things that this thing offers that maybe Scout didn't offer. So if I go out first, I get one of these brass knuckles. I get 2 of these brass knuckles, and I win the game. Pretty simple, but pretty fun. And that is loners. It seemed cool to throw, but now I had to go chase after it. That's just dumb, Ryan. So number 4 is based on a very popular board game that I only recently played. It's a game that I didn't quite like, but I heard they came out with a card game, and this is Catan on the road. So I was definitely curious. I wasn't too excited for the board game, but I heard this distills down the board game into a very quick, snappy game. And that was probably my biggest complaint about Catan, the main board game, was the first 30 minutes were pretty enjoyable, and then it quickly fell off a cliff for me. So if this could wrap up in that, you know, 15 to 30 minute range, I'm all in for giving it a whirl. And as you probably know, since it's on this list as number 4, it definitely did succeed. I went in thinking this game wasn't going to be very good. I played with my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and because I wanted to play with them because they actually were there playing Catan for me for the first time. It was my first time playing. It was their first time playing. And I was like, hey guys, since we played the board game, I really want to try this with you. And we played it while we were on vacation. And honestly, we played 2 games back to back. And the first game was like a good learning session, and we immediately played it again. So that's always a good sign if you want to play it again. But I was very impressed. Like, having just recently played the board game, I was like, wow, I can totally see the decisions and design they made to really replicate the feeling of the board game in a much smaller package. Although I would say the 15 minutes was a little bit of a stretch, at least for my group. I find this is still probably a 25 to 30 minute game. I mean, I guess if you're speedrunning it, maybe it's 15 minutes. But at least for me, I can't see it ever being that short. But that's still it's not a knock. 30 minutes is still great for a card game, especially something like this where you're getting a lot of the core mechanics, especially like the trades and all that stuff. And you still have that kind of race to, in this case, race to 7 points. So there's definitely still tension. Let's crack it open and just give you a quick, view how it works. I figured the best way to explain is just walk through like one turn and just show you kind of how this game works. But before we do that, let's just show you kind of what's on the table to kind of understand what's what. So in front of me are my personal cards. So everyone starts the game with a settlement and a road. I've already bought a road on a previous turn that you just missed. It was a good turn. The goal of the game is to be the first person to get 7 points. Now I currently have 1 point, but that's not very special because everyone starts with a settlement and everyone starts with 1 point. So you're just really trying to be the first person to get 6 more points. Now, just like it's telling you where you can upgrade your components, with this one, my settlement, I can then upgrade to a city, which will give me 2 points. And then I can also upgrade that to a metropolis that will give me 3 points. Now these aren't additive, like the 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3. So right now I just have 3 points for this structure. Well, I guess card tableau. The big advantage of these is as you upgrade your settlement, you do get more cards on your turn. So for instance, if I got this one, I would get the metropolis. I would have 2 extra cards on top of my 1 card. So I'd get 3 cards per turn instead of the normal 1, which starts to escalate because sometimes you can maybe get 4 cards on your turn. So at first, resources are scarce. You're trying to make trades, but then as the game gets towards the end, you're getting more and more resources, which really does help kind of build that engine and accelerate to the ending, which is what the game's trying to do. It's trying to be a quick version of Catan, which it does a good job at. So each turn is consisted of the harvest phase and then the action phase. So for the harvest phase, everyone gets 1 card, In this case, they'll get a rock. So I have 2 ore, 3 ore now, 1 wheat, 1 sheep. I call it a rock because I was playing with my family and that's what they called them. So that's what I call them now. Now, if I had the city or the metropolis, I could get extra cards right now. Just me, just the active player. So it's definitely, it's the active player benefit. So everyone gets 1, but then I would get more if I had those, which maybe I'll do now because I'm missing 1 wheat right now. So maybe what I could do is maybe I can trade my sheep to get that 1 wheat I need. So maybe I'll trade with this player over here. So this now we're in the action phase. I'll trade. Okay, cool. Now I got my 2 wheat with the ore. Now the nice part about this game is for trading, the person who traded with you, they get an extra card, not me. So right now, because they were nice enough to trade with me, they would also get an extra card. So sometimes people, don't want to trade, but they're like, oh, but I get an extra card. Plus I kind of get what I need. So I find trades can be a little bit easier in this game, but not always. Because if you get close to winning, just like the real board game, ain't no one trading with you. But now I can buy this upgraded city. Because this row here is what's available. And this is also kind of painful because obviously the luck of the draw here. Right now I can buy a road, a city, or a settlement, or a knight. And these are essentially, I think these are all the cards. Roads in this game, they help you with the trading. So just like in the board game where you can get to like the size of the board where you can get to do, 2-for-1 trade deals, the roads kind of let you do that. If right off the bat, you can trade 4-for-1 anytime with 1 road. 2 roads let you do 3-for-1, 3 lets you do 2-for-1, and then of course if you have 4 roads, you get a 1-for-1. Now you can only do 1 per turn. So I could just trade 1 in good for any good I want, or just, it's like a wild, if you will, for 1 turn, 1 time per turn. So I think I'll do that. I'll go ahead and spin this. I'll go ahead and buy this city. Now on future turns, I'll get the free harvest card, plus I'll get an extra card on future turns, which is nice because I have no cards now and I need cards. If you have a lot of cards, each time you buy something, it does refill. And you can buy as many as you can afford. So sometimes you can go on a rampage where you got a bunch of cards and then the right things come out and you just buy. Because I did that one time where someone was about to get the longest road, which in this case, you just need 3 roads to get the longest road. And I just bought like 3 in a row and had like 5 roads at that point, got the longest road. And it gives you 2 points. And then the largest army is just by buying these knights. If you get at least 2 knights, you get the army. And the knights also protect you from the robber. How the robbers and those kind of things happen in this game is each time someone buys a settlement, you then activate this like, I guess this event deck here. So in this case, it was the robber. It's not always the robber. In this case, the robber steals your cards if you have more than 7 cards. So if you have 8 or more cards, you're going to lose half your cards. Other cards in here, like give away, each person who has an uncovered settlement gets a card. If you don't have the longest road or longest army, you get 2 cards. So there are some positive cards in here as well that can gift out a bunch of cards. It depends on, the luck of the draw. That's essentially the game in a nutshell. It goes to the next player. Everyone would draw 1 card. The active player would draw more depending on what they have. They do their little trade phase. They buy some stuff and it passes. And you keep going until someone has 7 points. It does have the right build. It starts off pretty slow because you don't have a lot of things. You're trying to find out what you're trying to do. You're racing for the longest road or largest army. If people are buying a lot of settlements, how many cards do you have? You're trying to manage not having too many cards because you might lose a bunch. So it definitely kind of, to me, really distills down Catan, where I'm like, I never need to play that board game again. I have this. If I'm itching for that Catan experience, this you really can't beat this card game. It's really good. And number 3 has the biggest comeback story. I bought this game solely as a gateway-friendly card game. I thought it would be a nice game to have in the back pocket. So you have non-gamers coming over. You have like a somewhat bigger game that I could maybe enjoy a little bit that wasn't so complicated it scared them off. And this game is Tap 4. Now, like I said, it had a comeback journey because when I first played it at 3 players, I walked away thinking, wow, this is just a luck fest. I do not enjoy this game really that much at all. But I'll play it because it's quick, whatever. And I kind of said in my head, this is better than Sky Joe, at least. So there's that. But then I played it at 2 players. We had some time to kill. I was with my mother-in-law. And I was like, hey, I think there's a 2-player variant. Let's just try it. I'm curious to see how it plays. And I'm glad we did. We played 7 games in a row. Well, I would say 7 hands. You're supposed to play rounds. We kind of just concluded each game as a win. So maybe 7 games would have been probably like in this rule book, probably 2 full games. But I'm just calling them 7 distinct games. Because at 2 players, I find a lot of that luck went away in ways that I could minimize. Like there's some parts of this game where you're just turning a face down card face up, and it just feels like blind luck. But then in a 2-player, you can really control the timing of it. And you can definitely minimize the luck a lot. And I mean, I won 6 straight to the point my mother-in-law was like, if you win again, I'm never playing this game again. Well, I guess she's never playing again because I won the next one. With tap 4, I'm trying to get rid of all the cards in my hand plus all the cards in front of me. Now this is set up for a 2-player game. So there's a lot more cards in front of me. Typically there'll only be 8 cards here, but it's double that if you're playing a 2-player game. The flow of the game is as follows. I play a card to the middle and someone has to play a card of equal value or lower. Eventually you get down to, let's say, 1 or something low, and the pile either gets picked up or cleared. And that's really the really high level, but let's get into some examples of how that actually looks. So as my opponent's turn, they can play this 11 from the pile in front of me. These piles in front of you are essentially an extension of your hand, but they just stay down here. And the face down cards do not turn face up. These turn only face up when you go for it. They can flip it, and as long as it's 11 or lower, they're good. So the chances are high, but if you try that one and the cards are low, like say a 4, and then you go for it, you might bust. And bust in this game is, if this was a 4 and they flipped this and it was higher than a 4, they would have to pick up all the cards in the middle into their hand. So it's not just negative points, it goes back in their hand. Now sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes you might have a couple of like 1s and 2s that you go, I really want those. We'll get to why you would in a second. And you might pick it up on purpose, which, yeah, that's fine. So they have the 11 here. I could then say play these 2 11s. So it makes it 3 11s, but then, you know, then they can do the core mechanism of the game. They can play the 4th 11 or 5, doesn't matter. But once someone plays 4 or something, this gets cleared out of the game, and now they can start fresh with whatever they want. So maybe they go for that mystery card to kind of get it out of the way. So it was a 1. So that would have been tricky for me if they tried to play that sooner. So I could play a 1 or lower. In this case, I do have a 1 showing here. I'll play that one. Now, I don't have a 1 in my hand, but I could play it if I had one. I could add it to the 1. But sometimes you want to keep some cards in your hand because, say, at a future round, we get back to 1s and they have a 1 and I don't, well, then I might be forced to pick this up if I don't have a special card like a tap in. We'll cover those in a hot second. So we're at this point. Now it's back to them. They don't have anything here. So now their only option is to pick this pile up, or if they have a tap-in card, which is one shown here, they can then tap the pile, this gets cleared, and now it's back to them. The goal is basically to get the cards out of your hand. The other card we haven't talked about yet is the tap out. So the tap-in card lets you clear the pile. The tap-out card lets you skip someone's turn. So it either skips your turn, you can skip yourself, or if you're playing with more people, you can skip other people. Or if you're playing your opponent, I can skip them. In a 2-player game, it's pretty helpful to have these to skip yourself, because in that case with the 1, if they did a 1, I did a 1, they did a 1, and it's back to me and I don't have anything, and I don't have a tap in to clear it, I could then do a tap out and go back to them, and now they have to now face the 1 and maybe pick it up. So these are really helpful in a 2-player game. In a multiplayer game, you essentially pick the person you're going to skip. So I could put it in front of that person. When it gets to the turn, they would just clear the card. That's their whole turn. So that's probably the only like mean part if you're playing multiplayer, because in a 2-player game you're just skipping them or skipping yourself. A lot of times you're just skipping yourself, so it's not really mean per se because you're just skipping yourself. In a multiplayer game you kind of have to choose who to skip, so if you really don't like take that, just be cautious in a multiplayer game because those could be, you know, a little bit mean depending on your group. But a 2-player game, like I said, it's pretty friendly because you're typically just skipping yourself. Maybe at the end of the game, if I'm down to 2 cards left, I could then just skip them and then just play the last card. And at that point, the game's over. So who cares? Now the game is scored over multiple rounds. I think the rule book's officially 150 points ends the game. How points work is so if I go out, whatever cards are left in my opponent's hand or a pile are added up. The cards are the face value. So if there's 10, it's 10 points, 12 points, 1 point. But the tap outs are worth 30 points and the tap in are worth 20 points. So while these cards are powerful, if you try to hold on to them too long, they can really burn you at the end. Or what I've seen my opponents do is they don't get rid of the face down cards fast enough and they go to turn these over and they end up being like 2 or 3 tap out or tap in cards, and that is a bad surprise to find. So why do I like this game? It sort of reminds me of like Lost Cities and how that game feels. The game, it's head to head and it's sort of a luck game, but it really isn't because there's always little metas and strategies and things you find hidden within the game that give you the edge. And I find Tap 4 really surprised me. It has similar things. It's all about what hand you're dealt. Now you could be dealt a lot of tap in cards, which will make your life easy, or you could have like a lot of low cards or a lot of high cards, or maybe a nice, diverse set of cards. And depending on that scenario, you're going to play very differently. And I like that. I like having to think of my hand. Okay, got these cards. How can I play this? Like one time I was dealt like 6 2s out the gate, which ended up being like a really powerful hand, surprisingly, because I didn't just play all the 2s at one time. I said, okay, I think my highest card was a 7. So I would quickly race down to the 2s, and then I realized they ran out of 1s and 2s very quickly. And I would only play 1 and 2 at a time. So I kept getting to the point where they had to keep resetting the deck. Now, I didn't know at the time, but they ended up having like, I think 5 tap-ins they could access. So if I didn't have those 2s, I never would have beat them, because I forced them to use all their tap-ins, and then I was able to come back and win just by a little bit. So I like I said, it's just, and when you play the game, you just discover these like kind of hidden strategies, and it's fun. I like this. But 2 players. I like it 2 players. With more players, I would compare this game to like how I felt about Skyjo. Skyjo was high luck, and it went over well with people who aren't really into games. I feel like people just love it. I would show that people to people who don't play games, and they love Skyjo. They loved it, and I liked it. I liked it at first, but eventually I kind of just like, wow, this is just blind luck. But maybe they just liked the flow of the game. So I got rid of it to my in-laws a long time ago. But this game, I feel like it has the same appeal as Skyjo in terms of like that luck factor, but at least it's more fun for me. So if I know I got a few people, say, I think it plays up to 6, people that want to play a game with me, and I know they're not hardcore, they don't want to play loners with me, which is admittedly a lot more confusing in this game. Well, it's nice to have something like this where I still find fun to like play with people who want something a little bit lighter. Because even then, with 4 players, I still feel like I have some control, just not nearly as much as 2 players, right? So like I said, this game definitely replaces like Skyjo for me in that way. And number 3 is Desperate Oasis. Big surprise. I saw it advertised online a few times, and I kept just skipping over everything. I don't know, some of the artwork in a thumbnail just did not capture me whatsoever. And I did put it in this artwork as well, so hopefully it didn't scare you guys off. Well, I guess you're here, so it didn't. But I think because of that, I was like, whatever. But then I looked at it a little bit more, and I was watching someone play it, and I was like, oh, this is like a really cool like lane kind of battle game, which I do like those kind of games. And then once I saw kind of how the game works with, you can play on your side or their side, face down, cards are, grouping, all these cool ideas into a lane battle game. I was like, you know what? Sign me up. So I bought it. Well, I didn't buy this copy at first. I did buy the op version, which is this box, which has already beat the poop because these boxes are just horrible. And then, I hate the trash on it, but even this box, it's already held together by tape. So while the game is good, the box is trash. But after playing this version of the game, I immediately went out and found that they had made a normal box like this, which I just love. I love when card games come like this. I know Denupt is another one that comes like this, and I will say this forever. This is just a superior way to make these boxes. And I hope all publishers do it, because to carry this around is so much more convenient. This is just a waste of space. I kind of wish they put it into one of these thinner ones in this case, because these cards are very small. All the empty space just means that this thing can crumple very much. If you put it in your bag, any bigger bump, it's just, okay, I'm off the soapbox. Let's get into the game. The one funny discovery I didn't mention yet was, in owning both these games, I did realize something interesting. The op version has way better cards, but the chips are not great. They're just cardboard cutouts. But the West Coast version, the cards aren't nearly as good, but the wood chips are way nicer. So I want to use, for this version, I'm using the nicer cards from the op, but with the nicer chips from West Coast. So now I have the ultimate version of this game. The ultimate goal of Desperate Oasis is to win these cards in the middle over 3 rounds. There's 15 cards here. You deal out 5 cards each round, and eventually, at the end, whoever has the highest amount of points wins. What determines the winner is the points they have on their side of the fence. So if this person has 5 points and I say I only had 3 points, well, they would win this card. But of course, it's not that simple. Because in their game, there are 7 different types of animals, and each of them has a unique power. Well, not all of them. I guess the 5 and 4 don't have powers, but the smaller ones do. So on my turn, I have 3 options. I can play 2 cards face up in front of me. I can play 1 card face up in front of my opponent. Now that option is very new to me. I've never seen that happen in a lane battle game. This is the first time I've seen that. It's very cool. Or I can play, my last option, I can play one card face down in front of me. So those are my three options. 2 cards face up, 1 card face down, or 1 card face up in front of my opponent. Now, the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is similar cards attract similar cards. So for instance, if this person played a purple 4 here, it would actually attract my 4 across the board and join their side. Because what I didn't mention is these orange cards are sort of like teleporters. Now, there could have been more orange cards. It just happened to be dealt out 1 this round, but maybe there could be 2 or 3. Really depends on how the cards are dealt out each game. The green ones don't teleport across. They only move left to right on your side. So for example, if I had, say, an orange card here and I played 1 here, it would move this card over. Now, it's the same for either side. If there's an orange card here and an orange card here, I'll just illustrate it. Here and here, and I played a card to the middle, well, then both cards would join. Now, the limit is 3 cards. To show you the limit, so this person had a 4 here, and they played another 4 here, only one of these 4s would come join it, because that would max out the space here. Now, of course, every rule in this game seems to have an exception. The 2s are the only one. If you have 3 2s in a row, it activates their power, which lets you play 1 card behind it. So you can have the 3 2s, and then you can play like a 5 or a 4, whatever you want behind it as a 4th card. But only if you have 3 2s in a row. That's the rule. So you can see this game can get pretty spicy pretty fast. Because if I have a face down card here and a face down card here maybe, and then he has some face cards on his side. Because the rules of face down cards is you never can have more than 1 than your opponent. So if I had 2 right now, my opponent could no longer have more. They could have 3 and that's max. Unless I happen to play another face down card, then they could add another one. So it's nice because you can control your opponent in that way. Because if I know they're playing a lot of face down cards, well, I might stop doing it so they stop playing it. And now we have this face up battle. But of course, maybe you want to hide stuff, so there's always that balance. And it's so interesting you can play on their side. So if this 3 was here, and this is a -2 card, if I played one of the 3s here, then it would join this row. So if all the 3s were gone right now, there's nothing he could do to really get those 3s back. Or even if you had a 3 here, you only get 1 over. That 3 is definitely staying there. The other rule that's kind of fun is the 5s are strong. They don't have any power though. But they're affected by 1. So if they had a 5 here, for instance, and I had a 1 played here, well, then that 5 is worth 0. Even if the 5 is on my side, it doesn't matter. This whole row is worth 0. The last thing I'll mention is when, say this game was over right now, we would then resolve the cards by turning them over. So we would resolve this one. Oh, that 3 now brought that 3 over, and so on and so forth. So there's always those last minute surprises like, oh, that's a 5 there. Uh-oh, what's this one? That's a 3. Oh, that 3 now comes back over here. So there's a lot to juggle in your brain. And not in a super hard way, but in a fun way. Because you're thinking, okay, that card's face down. If I put this here, then when it's revealed, it will suck this card over here. But then you gotta be careful, because then maybe they can sabotage your plan before you even have a chance to do that. So it's cool. I like this game a lot. It was a lot of fun. I played with my mother-in-law, who actually played it pretty well. I thought she was gonna struggle with it, but then she beat my butt. She destroyed me at the game. So apparently this is her game. I didn't see it coming. I thought I was gonna kick her butt, but I was sorely wrong on that one. Of course, I played with my good friend Chris. He loved it. I think this was his favorite game he played in a long time for card games. I asked him how he would rank today's games. This was his #1. It wasn't my #1, which we'll get to right now. And we're here, my #1 card game that I'm playing right now. And it is Fruit Boss. This is crazy. This is 3 games by the same publisher, Wits Ghost, that is on this list. Now, just so we're clear, they don't even know I made this video, let alone sponsor me. These are all games that I bought. I went to go buy the nicer box for Oasis after buying the less nice box. And they have their free shipping, which they definitely caught me into. Because I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and buy this loaner game. This loaner game. And then I was like, oh, I still don't meet the free shipping. And then I was like, shoot, I guess I'll buy Fruit Boss. I knew nothing about any of these games. Well, maybe, okay, I knew this one. These 2 games I knew nothing about. But especially knew nothing about Fruit Boss, besides being just a badass name. I love it, Fruit Boss. Read the rules, and this thing's pretty cool. Showed my mother-in-law. We were at the little beach vacation the other day, and I said, hey, let's just play a quick 2-player game of this. I love when a game like this plays well at 2, and well at 3, and well at 4. I mean, if it can cover all player counts, fantastic. I find myself having a lot of great card games, but the problem is they play better at more players. Like, it's great at 3, great at 4. So it's awesome when a game plays well at 3, but it also plays really well at 2. And Fruit Boss, so far I love it at 2. So with Fruit Boss, you are collecting fruit, and at the end of the game, you score and see how you did. Now, the scoring is similar to Coloretto if you guys play that game. where you score 3 of your fruit and anything else you happen to have score negative points. So you have to be careful with what you collect, because sometimes you might be collecting one thing, but you might abandon ship and collect something else because it just has more points, and you're okay with taking negative points. But I love that thinking. I love having the limit. You can't just collect everything. You have to be a little bit more selective about what you take. On your turn, you have 4 options you can possibly do. You can only choose 2 of them, and we'll demonstrate the first 2 right now. One of the options you can do is you can pick any card of the same fruit and stack it on top of an identical fruit. In this case, I'm stacking the tomatoes. Now, you'll notice that this made a 5 and a 1. So this is 6 points that this is worth. Now, I could also play a card from my hand. So I will do that here on top of here. So now I have these melons stacked. So 7 beats 6. Because essentially, when I play a card here, I can look to the left and to the right. And if there's at least 2 cards in the stack, I can take it if my stack is larger. In this case, 7 beats 6. So I can take this and add this to my pile. So I will score this at the end of the game. Now, how scoring works is also interesting. You take your highest value card, in this case 5, and you times it by how many cards you have. So in this case, 2. So I would have 10 points just with these 2 cards. So getting the 5s in this game are very valuable. And to note, there's only 1 5 in every color. So I know now I want to get as many of these tomatoes as I can, because each one I add will be adding 5 points to my score. So that's it. My turn's over. I would draw back to 5 cards, and it's my opponent's turn. My opponent could have won this one, but they couldn't really get it, because right now they have 3 oranges. But if it would have played the 4, the 2, and the 1, because you can play all of one color at the same time. So they can play those 3 cards, but that would only equal 7. And you have to have it larger than the pile you're trying to eat. So in this case, the 7 would be tied 7 versus 7, so they couldn't get this one. But they could potentially play this red card here to make this 6, and then they can play all their orange cards like this to make it 7, and now they would get the red cards for themselves. So it's back to me, and I can showcase another thing you can do on your turn, which is slide a pile. Now you can slide it as far as you can until you hit something. In this case, they hit these. So they would stop. Now I can play my second move of my 4, of the potential 4 at least, which would then bring this pile higher than this pile, because now I have the 4, 6, 7, 8. So 8 beats 7. So now I would get these. One thing to note though is if a pile should ever get larger than 4 cards, it topples and then takes out either a card on the left or a card on the right. So for instance, if there happen to be cards here, and an orange card was played, we'll just grab one for example, then this is 5 cards. This would either fall this way. Well, I guess this wouldn't be like this. There we go. It would either fall this way or it would fall this way. In this case, it would fall. I could say, you know what? I know he wants reds, so therefore I'm going to topple this way, and now I'm going to get rid of these cards. So it's a very defensive move, at least that's how I use it, where I see a stack of cards they probably want. I see a stack of cards that's pretty high. So I might be able to shift it over, add a card, take out the cards they want, plus get rid of some other cards maybe someone else wants at the same time. The last thing you can do on your turn is use this cat. This cat lets you eat any fruit here. The reason you want to eat something is maybe weaken a pile so you can get it. Maybe I really want to get these reds, but to make it bigger, I have to eat this 1 first. So I could eat this 1, get rid of it, make it only 7. So that way when I play this 1, I can then know I can beat it and I can take it. So the cat, it's a nice thing to have because it lets you kind of manipulate the stacks a little bit to make the outcome you want happen. So if this was the end of the game, I could then score the reds by taking, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll get 20 here. Here I got 4 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I would get, I guess, 20 there as well. And then here I would get 5 times 3, so I would get 15. And if I scored those, then I would have to get this 4 times 2, which would be -8. So I would take the -8, but I would score the positive points here. The reason I like this game is it just feels like with the 4 different options, and you can only pick 2, you feel like you can be creative and try to figure out the best scenario to get the cards you want and have fun. Now, I'm not very good at this game. It's funny. I'm not very good at the game. I just enjoy playing it. I assume you guys can relate. You have games that I have fun playing this. I don't know why. I can never win, but I just still like playing it. It's cool knowing that these 5 games, if I have them with me, I got every situation covered. I got games for higher player counts. I got games that are more strategic. I got the head-to-head battlers. I really have a game for everything. The one moment I really want to hopefully happen soon, because I feel like I'm out talking to people about board games. Hey, I love board games. And they always mention Catan, the real big board game. It'd be cool to be like, hey, you got 20, 30 minutes? You want to try the card game version? Because I think they would really feel the similarities in this condensed form. It'd be cool to show people who really only know this world in the board game form and show them how this works in the card game form. I decided to show that. And of course, I got all these unique games. I showed this to my buddy. He thought it was really cool. We played 2 players, which I love that I can play this game 2 players. I mean, technically, all of these games, except for Catan, all play well at 2 players. So it's cool to have that option because I feel like I'm always easy to get one person playing. And then I like that they adjust, like these, you know, all these easily adjust to have multiple players, right? So I feel like the flexibility is nice with these guys. That's going to wrap it up. And until the next video, have fun gaming and take care. I'll see you later. Okay. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. I just got it. How's my end of the video crew doing out there? You guys good? I see you guys showed up for my last video. I heard the drowning unicorn being mentioned in the comments. I appreciate that. I think this video, I think I got to give credit where it's due. 3 of these freaking games are from West Coast. So that's W-E-A-S-T Coast. West Coast. So I think I got to give credit where credit's due. So I think today will be hashtag West Coast. I think that's the secret word today because these games are a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.